What is solipsism? Before we explore the concept of solipsism, we need to examine the question it asks. What is real? How do we know what is true? How do we know if we're just imagining what we perceive to be true? Humans observe and understand the world by using the 5 senses. Our sensory organs receive stimuli from the surroundings in our world, which are all processed in the brain. The brain organizes the sensory input and constructs our understanding of what is happening around its host body. That is how humans evaluate and navigate the world. How do we know our sensory organs and brain process all this information properly? Do we process it in the exact same way as everyone else? Are our perceptions of the world identical? Picture this. There are 2 friends, Bob and Ross. If Bob and Ross look at the exact same object, for instance, a rose, would they experience it exactly the same? What if Bob's perception of the color red is slightly different than Ross's? Luckily, Bob and Ross both speak the same language and can describe the rose using the same words. But what if Bob's eyes and brain worked a little differently than Ross? What if everything Bob saw was slightly more saturated than what Ross saw? They can both describe the world using words and their learned meanings, but what they correspond to are unique to their inner experience. Even though Bob sees a more saturated shade of red than Ross, they might never know that they were perceiving different levels of saturation when looking at the same rose. In the same way, individuals navigating the world don't have a way to compare the perceptions of the world. No one is able to verify that cars and palm trees and sunsets all look the same through everyone's eyes. This is where the concept of solipsism comes in. Solipsism is the theory that the external world doesn't exist, and that our experiences are imaginings of our mind. Everything exists in our head, and the only reality we can be sure of is the one that we experience. Solipsism is hard to prove, but it's also hard to disprove. There are many other theories, such as realism, idealism, relativism, postmodernism, and a peculiar one, brain in a vat, which is a thought experiment. Imagine this. You get into a coma and doctors remove your brain from your body. Your brain is kept alive in a jar. Equipment is connected to your brain, which transmits sensory information, such as sight, sound, taste, and even balance. Even though you are a brain in a vat, your doctored perceptions would convince you that you are living in the quote-unquote real world. What is real? And how can you be sure?